Welcome in Broncos Country to our Mailbag edition of Broncos Breakdown Live, which airs every single Tuesday at 4 p.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. Mountain Time. Before we get into our most pressing Broncos questions, I want you to do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button for us on today's video. It helps us put more Broncos content on your YouTube timeline. With that being said, let's get into our very first question from Kaiden. Broncos, will Bo Nix break out this season, or will he have the sophomore setback? So the sophomore slump is a real thing. As quarterbacks get more tape on them, opposing defensive coordinators and head coaches will start to study them more. They'll find out the strengths and the weaknesses of every single quarterback. With that being said, though, I do not see for one single second how Bo goes into a sophomore slump. He was too good last year. And one of the things that I feel like rookie quarterbacks get into a bad habit of is they want to play so much on script. And that's because they're either not ready for the moment to play outside of the pocket or let a play develop and go through their progressions. They want to get the ball out to the guy that the play was designed for. Bo last year, surprising to all of us, showed us how athletic he was at making plays happen with his legs, extending plays on the run, and throwing outside of the pocket as well. So I think if you couple that with his ability to play on script and the creative play calling that Sean Payton has displayed, there's no doubt in my mind that not only will he beat the sophomore slump allegations, but he's going to be a dark horse candidate for MVP. Thank you, Kaiden, for your question. Danny, after Sutton, who will be the Broncos' leading wide receiver in 2025? If you would have asked me this question 2 weeks ago, I would have told you it would have been Marvin Mims. But the more and more that I'm getting, starting to think about it, and the more and more I hear about this kid, I think it's going to be Pat Bryant. And hear me out. At Illinois, they had a run-first offense. So Pat Bryant wasn't even the focal point of that offense with his quarterback, Luke Altmaier, I believe is his name. So I think when you get Bryant on the opposite end of Courtland Sutton at the X and the Y position, you're going to see that the number one corner on opposing teams, is going to go cover Courtland Sutton. That leaves Bryant one-on-one with either a CB2 or a slot corner. I think he's good enough at the point of attack and good enough in contested catching to go up and make things happen when the ball comes his way. So I honestly think it's going to end up being Pat Bryant. But I appreciate your question. Thank you so much for asking it, Danny. JK. Moose. If you were the Broncos head coach, how much would you have been willing to trade for Jeanty? 2 first-rounders and a third? Worse or better? This is a good question. I probably would have gone with 1 first-round pick in 2026. So I would have done a pick swap with pick 20 that we had this year. So the Raiders would have ended up getting pick 20 and next year's first, and maybe a compensatory pick in the 5th or the 6th round in 2026 or 2027. But I wouldn't have gone that much higher. And the reason I say that is because you're not moving up to the first round. You're not moving up to the first overall pick. And also, you're not taking a quarterback. As much as running back, I feel like is going to have a resurgence at the position in 2025. Let's be honest, it's still a quarterback-driven league. So I think the Broncos were interested, and I'm sure the Raiders threw out some crazy numbers. And we're like, yeah, it's going to take X, Y, and Z. And the Broncos were like, yeah, screw that. We're not going to go for that. We can easily find somebody who is a step below Jeanty in round 2, round 3, or round 4. And to our, surprise and our, what's the correct word? Astonishment? That's not correct. I don't even know where that word came from. To our surprise and to our benefit, I should say, we took RJ Harvey in round 2. So thank you, JK, for your question today, my friend. Thanks for getting on the show. Corey, what teams in the AFC West are going to make the playoffs? Broncos are the number 1, then the Chiefs. I actually don't think the Chargers make it this year. I think they are right on the edge. They're going to fight for that 7 seed like they did last year, and I don't think the Raiders are going to make it either. I think the Raiders have gotten the train back on the tracks, but let's be honest. You think Geno Smith is going to take that team to new heights? I don't think so. I don't think they're good enough yet. So the two teams that are going to make the playoffs this next year, Chiefs, my homeboy and Andy Reid, they're going to make it. You kind of know that. And the Broncos, for sure. Thanks for asking. Now, before we get on to more of our questions, make sure you start shopping with our friends at Fanatics today. If you want to gear up for the very best, with all the best gear in the 2025 season, make sure you do it with this link right here. This Broncos Nike tee is 25% off right now. All you have to do is go to chatsports.com/Broncos tee and make sure that you start shopping with our friends today. T-Mac, Broncos, how many INTs will Jahdae Barron have? It's a good question. 3. I'm going to say 3, and I think they come towards the end of the year. He might have 1 earlier on, but I also feel like Jahdae is going to be trying to show his physicality earlier on in the 2025 season. I think he's going to try and throw his weight around. I think when he gets onto the field, he's going to be so amped up that he's going to show that he's a big-time playmaker. He needs to learn a little bit, in my opinion, to sit back and let the play develop in front of him. He does have the ball hawk talent that you're looking for in a slot corner. He's actually so versatile. You're going to see him play safety as well this year. He'll play all over the field. He's kind of one of those, like, jack-of-all-trades player. So one of the things that I think you're going to see is he's going to try and show that he has the ability to do everything without really honing in on the skill portion of his game. And that'll come later on in the season. I don't doubt that it'll happen in 2025, but when will it happen is going to be the question. Truce. Will the Broncos team top the 2015 Broncos? I think they will. That is a tough ask. That was a great team. I don't think you can say wholeheartedly that it's a better team. I mean, we were loaded that year. That defense was something scary. But I will say this. This is the most talented Broncos team since that year. And I don't think that's much of a debate. I think a lot of us can agree that if that team is at the upper echelon of Broncos teams, this team is like right here. So it's going to be a very, very good team, and I'm excited to see what we have going forward. Thanks, Truce, for your question. Michael, do you think RJ will be RB1 week 1? Good question. No, not week 1. I think weeks 1 and 2, you're going to see that rotational side come out, and Sean Payton is going to use him in strategic moments. That doesn't mean that he's not going to see the field much. But remember, his play style is not a bell cow back. He's not a 3-down back like Saquon Barkley is. It's just not his style of play. Now, could you line up Harvey in an RPO? Could you line him up in the slot? Could you have him, on first and second down? Absolutely. So I think the first couple of weeks, you're going to see Harvey used in a lot more strategic ways. But then weeks 3 and then on, more traditionally, like you would see a normal running back or RB1. But thank you, Michael, for your question. Josh, do you think if one or more of our younger receivers steps up this year, Sutton could get traded by the deadline? I don't think Sutton's going to get traded. The Broncos are already working on an extension right now. In fact, I saw something today that was floated out there, and maybe I'll make a video on it later this week, that the projection is $98 million right now for his next contract extension. So I don't think that's going to happen. Get that out of your mind. I think Pat Bryant for sure, but I also think that you're going to see Marvin Mims take the next step. Would it be so crazy to say this? Your X and your Y are Sutton and Bryant. Your guy that takes the top off is Marvin Mims. Could you then put Troy Franklin in the slot and have him work over the middle of the field? I think that's a great combination. I don't see why that wouldn't work, especially with the rapport that Bo and Franklin already have. I feel like that could be an easy player to put right there in the slot and work over the middle of the field. The real question is, who's going to be the guy that stretches the field and who's going to be more of the route runner? Courtland, Pat Bryant are going to be your route runners, and Mims is going to be the guy that takes the top off of you. Thanks, Josh. Tyler, can Bo go 4,300 yards passing and 40 touchdowns with 10 interceptions? Boy, you're throwing out some video game-like numbers there. I'll do you one better. I'll predict Bo's stat line. I'm going to say a little over 4,000 yards, not quite 4,100. So 4,060 yards. I'll say 33 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. I feel like that's pretty good. That's a really solid stat line. That's a better than 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. I think you have to be very, very careful about getting 40 touchdowns. That is a very hard number to get, right? Like you have to be almost at 3 touchdowns per game to get those kind of numbers. But I do think Bo's going to have a better year than he did last year. But 4,000 yards, 33 touchdowns, 9 picks. I feel like that's a good starting spot for year 2. That's going to do it for us on today's Mailbag edition of Broncos Breakdown. Remember to like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and share this with a Broncos fan in your life. Until next time, my name is Moose. Be cool.